Hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is FAQ number 12 and I want to thank you for all the feedback you guys have been giving me. So we'll continue to make these episodes because I think they're valuable for many of you and I'll try to do my best to answer your questions. So let's go straight into the questions. First one from Bart GTK. Hi Juca, what is your approach with learning new songs for patches demonstrations or new songs in general? Do you like to start with learning certain parts by ear or you have some sort of routine for it? Cheers, Bart. So yeah, I have to learn, for the patches I have to learn new songs. Most of them I did not ever play them before. So sometimes it's kind of hard because it depends on the artist, you know. Sometimes I want to make a patch, like for example, when I did Pliny or Guthrie Govan, I might do it okay off the camera, but then there's always that pressure when you click record, right? And you know that you're recording and you make mistakes, which is obviously human. But what I do is I pick the song and I listen to it all day, maybe 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, depends. I listen to it so much that when I'm going to bed, I'm singing the song all night long. My brain just can stop and disconnect, which is not very good. But anyway, then I'll start, if it's just a part, I'll start by analyzing the tones and doing experiments with the Boss Katana or whatever I'm doing for the moment and trying to match the tone. That's my main job, right? With EQs and stuff like that. And then I'll start to play the song. If I don't know the song, how to play it, I go to the net, to the web, and search for tabs, usually, to see if I'm doing something wrong. Or I go to videos of the artist playing the song live, or maybe there's a demo. Sometimes there's nothing like that. There's no demo, there's nothing. It happens to some patches, so I have to play it by ear. But that's not very good because you don't know exactly where he's playing, you know. But most of the times you have the videos where they show you where they play the song, and then I go into another page on the web and search for what type of amp he's using or been using all these years, and effects and stuff like that. What he's using currently, what did he use or the band use on the album that I'm trying to recreate. So all those things are very important for me to recreate the tones the best of my abilities. I want to know if it's a Fender, if it's a Marshall, stuff like that. And from there, sometimes I already know the song. For example, if it's Pearl Jam, I know a lot of songs just came into my mind. But in the case of Guthrie Govan, I already knew how to play that intro, or John Petrucci, Glasgow Kiss, or I also knew kind of how to play that intro, but I had to play over and over and over again. And in my video, I do say that I make mistakes, and I did make some mistakes, but that's natural. Or Yngwie Malmsteen, Yngwie Malmsteen, I don't know how to say it, was really not so good for me. Playing on a Fender and all that shreddy stuff is not for me, but that's the way I approach it. So I have to listen over again and match the tone and then learn the song, which might take a couple of hours or a couple of days. So I hope I answer your question. Thank you for the question. Let's go for the next one. From Erwin, possible question for the Q&A. Can a basic Katana MK2 do justice to an 8-string guitar? If so, how do you get about getting up a tone? Yes, it's possible, although the 50 is a little bit mid-rangey, a little boxy in terms of tone. The 100 watt is better for that regard, but it's possible to do that, but you have to fiddle with EQ a lot. Contrarily to what people think, you have to cut a lot of bass. I think the Katana is one of those amps that already has a lot of bass. And if you put it against a wall, you'll hear even more bass, like I have it in there. So an 8-string, it's a really low tuning, but it can handle it. Now you have to pay attention to the EQ. It's very important, and compression, you need to use compression to all those peaks, you know, and choose the right signal path in Boston Studio. For that one, I would go for signal path number 1. I don't know if the compressor is in the front, but I think so, because the EQ is more effective being in the loop. You will hear more of a difference than being before the amp. And you can do that, but then most people don't use the high cut and low cut, and this kind of tone requires you to low cut a lot, you know, taking like 50, 60 to 80, you know, because you want to have a tight tone, and there's already a lot of bass. So you can do it via, I don't have an 8-string guitar, but I already tuned my 7-string guitar to A, and I can do that on my 100-watt Katana. I never tried on a 50, but I think it's possible, although it's a little bit more boxy sounding, but it's everything on the EQ. So yeah, it's possible. Thanks for your question. Let's go for the next one. From Roger Carson. It seems harder to dial in the Katana than other amps like the Sparks. Is there any reason for this, and this is a good thing? Thank you and all the best. Well, to be honest with you, I was to receive a Spark line. They sent me one. They sent me one to Portugal, but unfortunately it got stuck on, I can't remember the name right now, customs. Yeah, got stuck there. It took months and eventually it went back. I don't know what happened, but something was not right, definitely. So I cannot speak too much about that, but I don't think it's hard to dial a tone on the Katana. Especially if you don't want to use Boss Tone Studio, just use the Katana as it is. The only thing you have to do is engage the noise suppressor so you don't have too much noise. But I can dial, and I've made some videos on that, like dial a blues tone or a metal tone, or basically any tone just using the panel, no software. So I think using the amp is pretty much straightforward. You just use the knobs until you're happy. I think it's very easy. Now on the Spark, I don't know. If you're talking about software, well, Boss Katana Tone Studio is a very powerful software, but like all Boss software, and this is not talking bad about Boss, but it can be a little bit overwhelming and complicated at the beginning, especially if you have like a GT1000 or something like that. You have lots, but this is a common thing on Boss products, lots of menus and sub-menus and stuff like that. So it takes time, but on the Katana it's not so hard. So I cannot speak for the Spark, I don't know how the software is. I believe it's very intuitive and I have lots of options for playing with backing tracks and stuff like that. So probably it's more advanced in that regard, but it's pretty straightforward on the Katana, at least for me. And if you, like I said before, if you don't want to use the software, just use the amp and dial it as good as you want it to be. Hope you answer your question. Let's go for the next one. From Sahin, as a Pro Katana user, am I a Pro Katana user? Okay. Have you ever needed an impulse response loader pedal or software? If yes, in which scenario? Well, yeah, I did. With MKU2, it's very easy to do that. You just run a cable out of the back of the Katana, line out, and then you engage the stereo expand mode, if I'm not mistaken. That will totally bypass the Katana cab. It's a function that only really works on the MK2. And I was recording something for myself, and although I was happy with the tone captured with the microphone, the usual suspect, the Sennheiser E906 that I really love, and I prefer that than the typical Shure SM57. But then again, the tone was not quite there for the type of music that I was recording for myself. So I used an impulse responser from Nadir or something like that. I think it's from ML Sound Lab as well. They have there are free software basically. And I choose a bunch of different IRs and try them, and wow, it's different because you're capturing with the mic and then suddenly you're using IRs, and you can take, if you're doing correctly, because not all IRs work as you expect it to work, so you have to fiddle around a lot and find the best ones. Can take time, can take lots of time. Sometimes you have like 100 IRs and you never know which one to put it there. So it takes a lot of time to find the right one. That's the problem with IRs. But anyway, I did use, and it took the Katana to another level because I was using like Mesa Boogie cabs from ML Sound Lab, and they were really sounding awesome. And they paired very well with my Katana, with any Katana. So yeah, I use IRs when I need to for my own recordings. But for the rest, it's just the Katana. So I hope I answer your question. So for the next one. From Ras Santo, Juca Nery, is it possible to record stereo by using FX Loop IR into audio interface? I don't know if you're talking about going from the effects loop into the IR and then audio interface. Usually is audio interface. You have the Katana into audio interface into your computer, and then you load the IR, okay? Now in stereo, you could do that. Let me think about that. I'm trying to get, maybe not. Sorry, I said you could do that, but I think not. I think you need, I think you only can do that in mono. But anyways, there's not much advantage in recording in stereo. Sometimes when I'm recording, especially if you want to double track the guitars, it's awful. You want to record in mono, and then you'll add it stereo effects to your signal. That's the cool thing. That's the way you do it. Sometimes I'll do like using the Boss GT1000. I just run a cable so I can record in mono, or I can just pan, but it's not the same thing. You need, especially in Logic, you need to know how to pan the signal right, okay? So I prefer to go mono. But some parts of the track where they are just clean guitar or something like that, or a pad or something like that, I go straight stereo, and I love that. But usually you record in mono, and then you pan hard right, hard left, depends what you're doing, double tracking, quad tracking, whatever. And that's what you do. Regarding IRs, I don't know if I understood your question very well, but if I want to record my Katana into my interface with an IR loader that you can use, also an IR loader, I already done that with the Captor. I think it's the Captor, the name, because they have two units. One is just an IR loader, the other is also attenuator for your tube amp and speaker. But I remember I did that with the IR loader coming from the Katana, but you can only get mono because it's mono, the signal is mono that's coming from the line out, right? It's not stereo. In the effects loop, you're just sending one. The other one, it's a return. So you cannot send two signals at the same time. I hope I answered your question. A little bit complicated here, but I believe it's impossible to record in mono. Plus, you don't want that. So thanks for your question. Let's go for the next one. From Roger Carson. Is the full version of the library available for iOS? I don't see a purchase option in the app. Question number 1. Yes, it's available. You have to first install, and then after the installation, you will see that you can upgrade and pay for the extra features. Let's go for question number 2. Is it worth having the GAFC and the Airstep, using the GAFC for channel changing and the Airstep for effects? Seems like a lot of tap dancing and a lot of space on the pedal board. What are your thoughts? Thanks. Well, you can have both, of course. If it was for myself, I would just use one. Probably the Airstep, because it has more functionality and you can engage in and disengage effects and stuff like that, and do other stuff that the GAFC cannot do. So there's no need for having two pedal boards on your pedal board or two foot switches on a pedal board. Just choose one that you're more comfortable with, that you know better. If you get to know better the Airstep, you'll see that it has more advantages, and it's smaller, small footprint. So I think it's the way to go. I hope I answered your question. Thanks. Let's go for the next one. Well, last but not least, for Mark Lippy. Hi, Juca. First off, thanks for the FAQ edits. No worries. Mic Q for consideration for low neck FAQ. Having just recently purchased a Gibson Les Paul Special with P90s and seeing many tone tutorials for Les Paul with humbuckers. Is it just a matter of adjusting EQ to taste? Or do you have any thoughts on other areas I should looking at? Thanks for reading. Cheers, Mark. Yeah, probably there's more tutorials with humbuckers than P90s for tone, right? I have my Les Paul Gold Top with P90s. I love those pickups. They're sort of single coils. They're single coils, right? But very, very hot. And they produce a tone like no other pickup. They're very different from single coils and usual humbuckers. If you want, I can give you some guidance to certain tones. I already use it for any genre basically, except for metal, but blues, rock, hard rock, and more clean stuff. I also use it for Pink Floyd, for the Brick in the Wall, because I believe you also use the Les Paul straight into the board with single coil pickups, contrarily to many people that believe there was a Strat. So the EQ, it's different from other guitars, not necessarily very different, depends on the tone you're trying to achieve. So on your comment, you don't say about the tone you're trying to achieve, But drop me a comment below or send me an email, contact me via my website, and I'll be more than happy to assist you and guide you to get the best sounds for your single coil guitar. I have a couple of packs, or one pack, I don't know, I can't remember, I'll put it here somewhere, for single coil guitars. So check that out, please. Okay guys, that was the last question. Many thanks for your support so far. Please, if you haven't done so, there's a lot of people viewing my videos that do not subscribe. Please subscribe. That you don't pay anything for that, and it will help me a lot to continue making these videos. And also, I'd like to ask you to leave your comments below this video with all your questions. Although I do it on Facebook, and also remember people on YouTube to post your questions. Leave your comments here or your questions here, so on the next FAQ I know exactly where to find them, and it's better for me. Just a question, it's just a thing I'm asking you guys. So I hope you're safe wherever you are. Hope you enjoy this FAQ and stay tuned for the next one. Cheers, stay safe.